It's our second podcast tonight featuring myself, Betsy Ross, and my co-host, Tennessee Williams.
Yes, we want to thank y'all for joining us again for the second time. We got a special guest, Taco, based out of Jackson. How you doing, man?
Ow! How y'all doing? I'm so happy to be a part of y'all's second podcast. I'm excited about it, and I'm glad to see y'all are doing this. And, any way
could you
get out other topics, information.
Yep. I was just gonna let you do a little rundown on your history and everything. Let people know who you are and what you're doing.
Okay. My name is Taco, and my family, or my mom, I should say, owns the Thai Cafe in Jackson, Tennessee. I help her out with that, but really I don't get to help her much because most of the time I'm busy being in Taco and Da Mofos, which is a reggae band, and we tour all over the country. But we're based out of Jackson, Memphis area.
All right. Tara, go ahead.
And we just got back from our first Florida run of the season, and fixing to head back next weekend to go play 3 shows with Afro Man. So pretty excited about that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so
he's an awesome guy, believe it or not. I played with him about 10 times, and we've spoke maybe twice, just in passing. So hopefully this time we'll actually get to have a coffee or something. Who knows?
You know this. We getting off the topic right here, but don't you know that little weed song he did is still the #1 weed song on Google when you Google it?
I believe it. And when you see the crowd show up,
is.
Second generation now. It's people's kids.
Are you serious?
That of the original,
yes, but this
the first go round. It's so awesome to see it. They're second and third generation Afro Man fans. It's crazy.
There's
really
no
is.
way.
I promise you. There's people's little brothers, and you know what I mean. It's a whole nother generation of people that know that song now. But Tennessee, as to what you just talked about, I'm gonna do my best to change that. About it being the #1 week song, we need a new one.
Wait, hold on, man. We finna punch in somebody right quick.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Who's this?
This is Betsy Ross, and everybody, Mark Moore joined us. Hey, Mark.
Hello.
Mark, tell us a little bit about what you do. What you do, for a living, and a little bit about yourself.
Well, I put in fiber optics for AT&T. We're the ones with those drill machines on the side of the road, boring under the highway and stuff.
Awesome. We also have Taco from Taco and Da Mofos on as well. Myself and my
co-host. How you doing, Mark?
Good. How you been?
Good.
It's been a long time.
We can get into these
Yes, sir. It's Mark. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, man.
I didn't realize it was you. I knew you. Oh, okay, what's up? Yeah, good to hear from you. Awesome.
We'll have a bunch of different views tonight. Some different opinions, some varying opinions. And really, I want to
mixing it up.
Yeah. I know a lot about politics, so I thought it'd be good to actually have y'all on at the same time, give some, different opinions and everything.
Thank you. I'm glad you included me.
Yeah, I wanted to really start off talking about Tomi Lahren. As we all know, she was suspended from the Blaze after stating that she was pro-choice on The View. Mm-hmm. And this is a problem for a lot of conservatives. The reason is because conservatives usually, are pro-life. Not all of them have to have that same opinion. She stated she was a constitutional conservative, which upset a lot of people as they feel the Constitution, gives every individual the right to life. So do y'all have a certain opinion on that? Taco, Mark, either one of y'all have an opinion?
I want to hear what Mark has to say first, and then, I would love to sound off. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. Do you think it was fair that she was suspended?
No, I don't think so. I think everybody's entitled to their own opinion, whether we agree with her or not. I think she's more of a libertarian than a conservative. So I think that kind of excuses her for her thinking that way. And I don't really think she said that she come out and said, I don't know if she's really pro-abortion. She just stated that she thought the government ought to, kind of stay out of it. And, you know, being a libertarian myself, I can kind of understand that to a certain degree.
Yeah. Yeah. You want everybody to have the individual right to choose what they want to do for themselves. Absolutely. So, Taco, what's your opinion?
Go ahead.
Okay, I kind of have to jump a little bit outside the box here to answer this question, because to me, the Blaze itself, starting with Glenn Beck from the top down, lost all credibility to me during the election, first off.
Oh, man.
By being unashamedly, abashedly, you know, neocon to the bone against Trump. I mean, that was Trump's biggest hurdle, was within his own rank. I mean, you know, what should be the thing. I've listened to Glenn Beck for 10 years, and, you know, he is called for somebody exactly like Donald Trump to step forward to do this exact thing. And then when he did, they stood firmly in the way of it. Okay, so the only bright spot that the Blaze has, to me, since halfway through the election year is Tomi. So, you know, if you want to take that away, that's fine. She should just keep on walking.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I agree. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to add to that one of the reasons why he suspended her, it has nothing to do with ideology, because like Mark said, she's more of a libertarian. She just don't know it. But you got to think about it. That Mormonism had a lot to play with it, because the whole time the base of the Republicans that didn't like Trump was Mormon, because they felt like he took that religion and just kind of belittled it. So I think that Mormonism played a lot in Beck going at Trump, because the two senators from Utah, they didn't like him either. So I think that really had to be with the Trump hate, had to do with just Mormonism. His religion felt threatened by Trump.
I disagree with that. You know, definitely. But I think that needs to be broken. I know most people won't find this popular or easy to stomach, but the whole Judeo-Christian, Mormon, we're all the same and can happily get along, but we're opposed to any other religion, is just crazy in the first place to me.
But, I mean, what do you mean they're opposed to other religions, like ones that want to,
they're all three opposed to Islam,
or?
But that's supposed to be, you know, they're children of Abraham too. So, you know, how can they be linked? And then I don't have anything against all the Mormons I've ever met are nice, great people. I mean, it seems like, I mean, all the time, I don't think I've ever met a Mormon that was, you know, I don't know what people would consider sinful or distrustful or anything like that. But if you go back through their history, I mean, they're a whole different religious sect and a whole different animal. They're a power structure unto themselves that wields vast influence.
But they don't really teach the hate and the ideology, though, that, you know, the Islam does teach. I mean, don't you agree with that?
I agree with that. Most definitely.
You know, I don't think it's that people want to isolate certain religions. I really think that people have just gotten, you know, a little scared, to be honest, and want to protect themselves and the country first and foremost.
I mean, what I really mean, when I led to that, what I really mean by that is the protection of the Zionist state and how that has become a Christian, like, fundamental or right. And I think that we've been led astray there.
Yes.
In a way, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Jumping on to the next topic right quick. This repeal Obamacare, it's becoming a circus, and I got a question for everybody online. Is the problem that the Republicans spent 7 years just downing and screaming Obama, that they never actually took time to come up with a plan on their own? Is that the reason we in this debacle right now? Because nobody during the 7 years actually sat down and said, if we get rid of Obamacare, what are we going to replace it with?
There was never a clear path to victory. Until Trump, there was never a thought that we would get rid of Obamacare. It was just a dream, a pipe dream. It was never going to happen before Donald Trump.
So y'all pretty much agree with it?
Yes,
Mark,
sir.
what do you have to say?
I just can't believe it after, you know, this long of them talking about Obamacare, and then we have the House, we have the Senate, we have the presidency. it's just a big mess. I couldn't believe it. You know, I'm speechless about it.
Hey, I thought I was the only one that thought that. I was like, they act like they just said Obama for 7 years. They never sat down and just said, what is the plan? When we get to the House, what is the plan? It's like they never said that.
There's still Republicans opposing it, you know, as we speak, that are fighting tooth and nail to try to do whatever they can do to disrupt the process as well, when they know that if it stays in place, that it's going to kill small businesses. You know, that if all the mandates go forward, I mean, my mom will be a casualty too. There'll be no more Taco in Jackson.
I mean, see, how does it affect y'all? I mean, Taco, does it affect? Did Obamacare affect you getting health insurance?
It would have. I think if the employer mandates would have gone through, I don't think we're big enough to. So maybe we're small enough to where we could have found a loophole, right? But I think if we'd have been treated just like everybody else, I think it would have been bad. I do.
Mark,
I think $10,000 a year would have made my mom, if she'd had to pay out of her pocket just $10,000 just openly just for that, I think she would have said, it's not worth it to me.
Exactly. Mark, has it affected your business? Has it affected you or your family in any kind of way, negatively, positively?
Oh, it's been a
Obamacare
disaster.
being in place?
Yeah, my health care went from being $300-$400 a month to not having any health care at all, and so
it's too much. Right.
You know, they say there's another 20 million people covered. That if you have a $5,000 deductible, then are you really covered? I mean, that just don't make any sense. If your deductible is that high, then you don't really have health care.
Exactly.
That means you have life-threatening, the same thing you had anyway. Go to the emergency room.
And you're going to pay
life-threatening. I mean, that's the point you're at, because that's the only time you can go.
Yeah, the cost really increased for us.
The problem with this whole Obamacare is it starts that they're trying to take a free market and collide it with a universal system, and you just can't do the two. It's either going to be free for everybody or it's going to be free market. Like, they got to make a choice.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
If you try to take a universal system and you try to collide it with a free market, what you're going to end up is the people that's free is going to be paid for by the people that you make pay for it. So when you try to take the universal and you're screwing the people who actually got to go and pay for the services. So we just basically paying for the 20 million people who just got covered.
And we're missing a key step in that it was all meant to be a self-payer system, right? They meant to force us to that.
What it was at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's kind of nasty. Yeah. Think about it. That this is supposed to be all about choice. When they knew 3 years down the road, there's no way that we're already in debt when it started. So, how is the money all of a sudden going to magically come? They knew it wasn't at the beginning of it, but I mean, I guess that's the same ammo on why it might. We might move past it today, and it's going to be rough. There's going to be some pangs, but overall, I think if you look 5 years in the future, it's going to be a good thing that this was put to rest in its current form anyway.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm kind of scared with it, especially on the Republicans, because they talk about Medicaid expansion. And I done seen this move before. Like when a Democrat passed something, they put everybody on the system. Then once everybody get on the system, all the services decrease and turn crappy.
That's right.
Then you're stuck voting for it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, and I mean, Trump can't go in.
Am I allowed to go? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Taco.
Go ahead.
No,
okay.
Go ahead, Taco.
I was just gonna bring up, because to me, even though they're not the same issues, they kind of go to the heart of the whole thing, because if one issue is just a lever for them to get accomplished what they want to on another issue, this whole Russian collusion and how that has fallen, kind of on its face. I listened to Roger Stone last night on Coast to Coast for a couple of hours. And, listen to him talk very well. He was like 1/3 of their whole, claim of Russian collusion during the election. And then you take away Podesta's emails, because I firmly believe those were given by that staffer who's dead. I don't think Russian hackers.
Never know. You never know.
Seth Rich.
Yes, sir. That's. You can't make me think something else. And even if I'm wrong, there's still no proof at all that it was a Russian that did this.
Right.
That story has just been floated enough times, and now all the intelligence agencies have came out and said, "Oh, we didn't have anything to do with it." Well, of course, that's what they said. They're spies. That's what dirty spies have been doing since World War I and before. Of course they lied about it. We can give you a million. They also lied about weapons of mass destruction. About
you got it on that.
A million things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just shows you what the media can put out there. It really does.
That's right. So, and what if it's all goes back to the medical mafia worried about their buck that they're going to make? And if we can discredit this guy, so what I'm really getting to, the point I was getting to, guys, is that what I think we should be worried about, what Republicans should be worried about, is that Weasley, Paul Ryan, and them trying to take away the presidency from Trump and give it to Pence. Because I think that would be a major miscarriage of justice and them circumnavigating the will of the people.
You know what? You got a point on that, because I was having a discussion with somebody at work that it's funny. Trump ran on the opposite of Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney, and he won.
That's exactly right.
Everything Paul Ryan is doing, his whole agenda was on the ballot in 2012, and American people voted it down.
That's right.
So why would you turn around and let him set the agenda when his agenda has already been voted down by the American people?
Well, Trump even
agreed. Right. It was lukewarm. Yeah. It didn't provide a path to anywhere. There's got to be some tough choices that people are not going to like, some sacrifice, and things are going to have to, whole systems, for us to ever get to financial solvency. Whole systems did have to be taken out of the equation. I believe in that.
Yeah. You were talking about the intelligence community and everything. So, Taco, what are your feelings on, the House Intelligence Chairman, Devin Nunes? He announced that, Trump team communications were captured by intelligence community. So that he basically stated that there were people doing surveillance on him and all the people who were working with him on that campaign. Do you think that there's actual proof that the Obama administration
according to Roger Stone last night, heads are going to roll, and there will be prosecutions. We will hear something and find something from this. I think we need to. Any kind of transparency of the deep state that's not elected, it's autonomous. It rolls on, no matter who's in place, and as long as it's one of their puppets, then it's business as usual. And I think this is the first one we've seen, maybe since Kennedy, that's not part of their political apparatus,
Exactly.
You know what threw everything off? I think they all believed Hillary Clinton was going to win. Because I remember when I seen Comey when he was testifying, you could see it on his face. He actually thought Clinton was going to win. So when Trump won, he threw everything for a spin.
Yeah,
most definitely. Nobody saw that coming, and I think every agency I think it was a total collusion on both sides, not with any Russians, but between our deep state and both of their financial arms, that are embedded through both parties.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if all those fake polls were more to keep Hillary out of prison than it was to put her in the White House.
Oh, goodness. At the end, it did get that way, didn't it, Mark? It really did get that way at the end, because as the truth started hitting, and, with the James Comey, that was, I hope y'all realize that was a coup from the good people we do have in intelligence, the good Americans that wouldn't just abide, and they leaked that information, and then he had to come back and mop up for that, see?
Yes.
And that's why, the retraction days before, or his head, probably.
I
know those are strong words, but that's probably how it looks to the average guy like me out here.
Yes. And we have to trust those people in those positions. I mean, you know, you lose a lot of trust from the public, especially when he was answering those questions. He just looked uncomfortable, and he really looked like he was almost lying. And that's
oh, yeah. Right.
He was.
Right,
He was.
right.
Yeah, it was obvious
I mean,
to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely was me, biased or not. To me, it was pretty apparent. And that's
Wait, hold
the
on.
problem.
I'm gonna throw this out.
If you talk to someone from another country,
what you say?
I was going to say, if you talk to somebody from another country and you ask them about RCIA, you know, that's probably a good place to start, you know, getting a clear picture of how the world, you know, they've got a much clearer picture of that one issue than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was about to say this. Do you think America will burn? Because President Trump has the ability to do this. If he fired Comey, what do you think will happen? Like, would that turn the world upside down?
I think, I mean, it's an inevitability. You can't keep him there, can you?
Can you fire him, though?
He's still investigating. Oh, yeah, he can hire He can fire the FBI director at will. He serves as the president of the president.
I think
the
guys
think
live
it's
pretty clean. And if there's something that comes up from Donald Trump, it's going to be fabricated. I really don't think he would have proceeded this far and have an ace in the hole laying out there that's going to 86 him. You know, I think we would have seen it by now. You know, if there was any kind of smoking gun of something that he's done wrong, you know, it would have already happened. And the tax return, though, I think Donald Trump released that himself. What do y'all think?
Well, it definitely didn't hurt him. Now,
no, it did not.
It might have hurt a little bit, but I don't think it hurt Trump whatsoever to show that he made a lot of money and he paid a lot in taxes.
And paid a lot. That's exactly right. You know, so to me, I'm sure he did that himself, which is fine. You know, I wish he would just go ahead and silence everybody and release now. But, you know, if there is something, he is the president now, so if there is something pertinent to national security, there could be. And I have no doubt, though, that powers that be within our government don't care. And you know, they're willing to hurt the country to hurt the president now. And that's what, to me, is getting a little silly, you know. Even under much worse presidents, you know, we have all played nicely and acted like good little kids. But now we have a real president for the first time, to me, in my life. You know?
Yeah.
It's the first real president.
And why do you consider him that? I want to know, Taco. Why do you? Because people have so much hate for Trump.
I know, but to me, it's the first man not controlled by another man's money, a group of guys' money, group of men or women. Actually, let me say it more correctly: international banks made up of foreign investors that rule our economy, rule our politics. You know. Rule what we put in our bodies and to the state of what, you know, the consumer state that we are now. I mean, all these things are decided in the boardroom. And it's great to have somebody in the boardroom that's on our behalf finally, or at least feel like it. Even if it's all charade, even if I just got to pretend this for a few years, it's better than the alternative.
But, you know, why would he come into a position like the presidency? He's already got plenty of money. You know, he's not.
That's right.
He's not middle age. He's older. You know, why would he do that if he didn't have some love for this country and want to make some changes? You know,
it's extreme. Roger Stone said that he has been trying to get Trump to run since 1988 when he first met him. He felt that, you know, and he's worked on 9 Republican straight campaigns, worked on Mitt Romney's and Paul Ryan's campaign too. And, yeah, he said he's been trying to get Trump to run forever. And, you know, the first time that I wanted Trump to run was during the McCain. He was, like, making sense to me even then, you know. And then when Mitt Romney came along, it was just like I was just, you know, I didn't realize how bad I wanted Trump then. You know, then it was just like a joke. If I brought that up around people, people would laugh at me, literally. And, you know, that's 4 years before he did it. But people then even had that, I'm like, well, why is he the only guy that comes as a commentator that makes any sense, you know? Is Donald Trump. It's crazy. When he comes on Fox, I actually love it. Like, he makes sense.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't like to really hear the truth that are going on in the world. You know, I mean, they really don't. I think a lot of people
they
would
want
like
the walls to be put up, and everything is hunky dory.
He's not for political president. Okay, we're gonna jump to this next little topic. Trump,
okay.
He introduced his budget not too long ago, and he got a lot of feedback, and a lot of people was talking about they regretted they voted, whatever. He cut Meals on Wheels. He cut Medicare. It's a lot of deep cuts in his little proposed budget. And I just want to know what y'all think about that, and how would that go over if it actually
I can sum that up real easy, okay? Let's say your country's budget was your household in your house, right? And you don't have China to buy bonds from you, and you don't have a Fed to keep printing money for you. You have to deal with the situation at hand in your household. So, there's nothing to do but major draconian cuts. Well, guess what? Swim lessons just got 86. You no longer have the posh little or whatever. You know what I mean? It's cut out. We're having to deal with it.
That's an amazing way to explain it.
Look, I kind of understand what you're saying, but I got to disagree with you because his cut is now. If he did full board cuts to everybody in every class, I will be on your page. But his cuts is just directly at the poor people. I mean, Meals on Wheels. That's that's dipping in the barrel right there.
That's a tough thing. But are those people going to build our economy? I hate it. I don't want to sound like just a complete callous, bastard. But are those the people that's going to rebuild our economy?
Look,
is that where money should be spent?
Look, those are not the people who are going to rebuild the economy, but those are the people that's going to vote. And 2018 is coming up.
Those are the people that voted against him, if you want to ask my opinion. For the most part,
and they're not going to be hurt.
One class or any one thing, but
they're not. They're going to be fine without the 2.2% from the federal funding. They can survive without that. Their donations since Trump announced his budget cuts to Meals on Wheels, which is small. Their donations have increased dramatically, and they even released a statement saying this is not going to end Meals on Wheels. It's not going to stop it. They're
PBS,
same
thing.
Fine. The details are
same thing with PBS. They have long not needed that federal. They have long not needed that federal money, and if they close down, that's the biggest sham because they've never needed it to begin with.
Exactly.
Right.
And I mean, look the debt in this country right now. We all want to complain about it, but then everybody really wants to complain when there's cuts made that are necessary. And most people never even open it up to actually look to see what the cuts were and how it would affect the different programs.
Do you remember what Paul Ryan's proposition would have been? I remember it just like numbing me, just like, oh Lord, this doesn't seem like it's gonna work. That's what I felt like. Like this is not really serious, is it? This is gonna fix everything. This one penny per a day per year.
What was the proposal? Tell us.
As I remember, I mean, it was cuts across the board in certain places, but none of them added up to make a dent into the Leviathan that just doubles itself every year. And if we get downgraded again, then it's really all over with. And then that gets you wondering, like, some people call me a conspiracy nut. That's fine. But that gets me wondering, like, is the border left open purposely so when China calls it dead end, we're going to realize that it's all in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and right across the border in Mexico, and now there's a Chinese state? Is that 20 years from now? Is that what we're looking forward to?
I can tell you something about the budget. To make a dent in the budget, and this is what a lot of politicians don't like to tell the American people, to make a dent in that budget, you're going to have to touch entitlement, defense spending, and health care. And these are like the third rail of politics. So if somebody tells you about a budget and they don't include entitlement, defense, and health care, they lying to you. Because you can't make a dent in the budget without them three things.
I think that the cut should come from black budgets right now when we don't know what the hell's going on with our spying agencies, and they're openly fighting, trying to have a coup with our presidency. You know, that'd be a good place to start. What do they do with all that money?
Exactly. How much is it costing them to do those type of things that are unnecessary and nobody knows?
Their budgets dwarf whole other programs that we talk about and bicker about and go back.
You talking about the defense? Oh yeah, the defense is out.
Yes,
defense
black
is crazy.
budget,
Oh my God!
I mean, they're crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't see anybody
and a lot of
talking
them
about
know all about because a lot of them are self-funding. Like the operations they run into, like Fast and Furious got caught with, operations they run with cartels that pump drugs into our country. I'm sorry, we've been knowing about it from Air America, Vietnam. You know, it's even now in popular movies. You watch American Gangster. You know, him flying over to Vietnam and getting his whole little pipeline set up with the soldiers, you know, bringing it right back forward. So, I mean, it's been going on for a while. We know of it. And so it makes me think that the war in Afghanistan is just all about getting to another golden triangle. It's new poppy fields.
Oh, man. Hey, talking about the drug connection, down in Mexico, about the immigration and crossing the line.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe slip my mind. You can't be thinking about the poppy fields. You just said.
Oh, they're moving them. I wanted to bring this up because I knew you might be going this direction. They're moving them there. The cartels are working with the jihadis. I mean, don't doubt that. That, you know, they are there. It's not no longer. I mean, it's the real deal. They can grow it right there in different parts of Mexico now. It's not the same grade from what I've read, but you know, who cares?
So you
they
think
save
that's the
so
reason
much.
why that they've been relaxed on the borders, like purposely?
Purposely. La Raza works directly for the cartels. It means the race, you know? I mean, they have a clear vested interest in keeping it, you know, demilitarized, opened, where human trafficking, I mean, each person that comes across. I actually have a family member who's married to a guy from Honduras who's like the hardest working guy. He's that true, you know, epitome of the hard-working immigrant that comes over here. And he's been deported again. And he's that guy that comes over here and works his ass off. Had a roofing company the last time he was here before he got deported in Alabama and was doing great. But even he says that you can't cross without having to carry something for somebody else. Can't do it. You got to pay somebody else, then you got to bring something for them across. That's crazy.
But see, this is the thing on immigration. How can you attack and solve the immigration, but still keep a heart with it? Because what trips up Republicans is when they hit the law enforcement bell, and that sounds good. But when people see it, when they see it live on video, them arresting undocumented people, the kids crying, the dudes, I don't know what I'm gonna do. The Republicans run for the hills as soon as the video show up. So how can you attack that, but and still keep a heart?
Well, to me,
you show the videos.
You
show the videos that's a mile long, and there's not a kid in it. It's all young, strong men crossing, carrying duffel bags full of drugs that are going to destroy lives. Stop them right in their tracks.
Taco, you know the
that are already
actual
here.
truth. But the media
That's
spreads
right.
those stories about feelings, and we
to
separate
tug on our
feelings.
sensibilities.
Yeah, we have to separate our feelings and start using our brain. We have people we're welcoming in our front door who are, you know, coming over here to hurt us. And I don't see how anybody can use a few stories.
The statistics
and there are
hidden
stories.
from you.
Yes. There are stories that are sad and they're heartbreaking, and they're very hard to deal with. But to me, until we secure these borders and figure out who's here, you know, who's here and who actually wants to be here and make a living.
I want to propose something to y'all that I read in a Dirk Pitt novel. The guy Clive Cussler, okay? In this Dirk Pitt novel, this is from like 1990, okay? This novel came out. And it was all about this. It was about these twins. One of them basically was a jihadist. One of them basically was like a cartel guy, okay? And his evil scheme was to march 1 million people over the border at once. Men, women, children, a throng. And that way, the U.S. couldn't fire on them for those exact reasons you're talking about. Our sensibilities, the cameras are watching. So what would you do if 1 million people came across that border at once?
I think
let me tell you how could that happen? A pole shift, an X-flare from the sun, a massive hurricanes, tornadoes, any kind of major natural disaster that forces people, a massive flux. Things can happen. And then what would you do? If you didn't have a border, then you'd have to be forced with outright murdering people.
Hey, that's
then
one of the
really
reasons.
Be the bad guy.
That's one of the reasons why I was liking Trump, because Trump just said it bluntly: American first. And sometimes look, this is going to sound mean and selfish, but sometimes you got to put your people first. This is our country. It's just you can't take care of everybody.
The black community has. I'm
exactly.
sorry, but and I don't know why this is such a hard concept to get, but the black community's jobs have been gutted. I'm sorry, by illegal immigration, and people can't see that. They still want to fight against that, but I'm sorry, it's the truth. There's a whole lot of construction businesses and everything else.
The working man's job, absolutely. The working man's job are being taken. Absolutely.
It's hard because when I talk, especially to minorities, if you can get past it's the racist feeling. That's what blocks it. If you can get past that, once I get past it, it's like they know it. But as long as they don't feel unwelcome by the Republican Party, so they're not listening.
Oh well, yeah.
But once you,
that's
if,
right.
if
and
you can get
that's
past
the Paul
that,
Ryan aspect that they don't realize that they can separate. They take it all together. Paul Ryan is the same as Donald Trump, and that's not the case. You know what I mean? He's more of a Democrat if you go back throughout his lifetime. And then
Trump's
it's just on the issues that matter to me. It's only on the issues that matter to me is he a conservative. And that's great, because that's all I ever wanted out of a politician, Just be a conservative on the things that really matter and that keep us safe. And then, if you want to be a humanitarian, what's left over, go ahead.
And to tell you, I'm so old. I can remember back in the 80s, before all the African Americans was just urbanized. It used to be a rural population, a black rural population.
Yeah.
Because I came up in Trenton, and Trenton, on the outskirts, that's where all the blacks used to live before we kind of moved into the ghettos or whatever. And I remember the conversation then. It was the Democrats come to the ghettos. We're gonna do this. They're gonna provide cheap housing. If you lose your job, they're gonna work with you. You're gonna do this and do that. Been there, and we've been there ever since. And ain't shit changed. And it gets
biggest thing they did is incarcerate a whole generation of black males and take them out of the home.
You remember I said earlier, I done seen this movie before. They get people on one program. They tell you it's a fabulous story. Come on, it's going to be good. We're going to lower the rate. And then everybody get on that system. Then they take it down. Then you're stuck voting for it. And my people been voting for it since the 60s.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's stuck.
And it kind of...
It's stuck.
I'm just not sure why people associate Trump with racism. I mean, can y'all enlighten me on that some as to why?
Well, because there's been billions of dollars spent over the last year to indoctrinate people totally against not caring about the facts and just going with what the perceived feeling is supposed to be. What side of this line are you supposed to be on by your genetic, age, racial makeup, what you are? If you're this, you're supposed to feel this way. Don't bog me down with the facts.
No, I think it has a little bit to do with Taco, but also it has to do with tone. Before Trump came along, Democrats and Republicans, especially white and black, they lied to the minorities. Trump was the first.
They couldn't even tell the truth. They couldn't even tell the truth, even with a lie.
Exactly.
We got to the point where all we heard was political talk.
Yeah, Trump was the first to come to a city that's full of minorities and tell y'all, black people, y'all are being fucked. Y'all cities are going to crack. You know what I'm saying? Nobody said that before Trump, even though it was the truth. It hurts. I used to live in Chicago. It hurts. It hurts to say that. But if you walk down there, you do get shot. There's no jobs in that city, and it's bad.
And whose fault is it going to be then?
Yep, that's true.
So when he said it, and he was the first to say it like that, that tone that he said it in was such a shock because they were so used to hearing people have a BS too. If you get BS for
BS
time,
talk, yeah. If you want to say that Bill
the
Clinton was the smooth talkingest, guy ever, and that minorities could just totally embrace that. I guess you could say, the opposite's just not going to be.
Yep. Yeah, Trump told the truth about the inner cities in Chicago, and they called him a racist for it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It stood up in Congress.
So what do y'all think about him working with the gang members, the gang leaders in Chicago, trying to make a difference? I mean, what do you think about that?
If there was really a support, if there's really bipartisan support, he could probably do something. But as it stands, it's probably just a soundbite and a picture.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you,
sadly,
the problem, why that's not going to work, the problem in Chicago has nothing to do with Trump. Chicago purposely put them blacks in certain neighborhoods, then it defunded. This goes back to the 60s with Richard Daley. He didn't want the black population to intermingle with the whites, so he put them on the south side, and he built a highway around it. So that don't have nothing to do with Trump. Trump just came down and said, look, y'all screwed because I look at y'all situation. So if Trump wanted to fix Chicago, he would have to go to that state, and he would have to – that's a state problem. That is really a state problem. He can't federally fix Chicago.
Now, what about Rahm Emanuel and it being a sanctuary city? I mean, that's something that can be addressed, and the gun rights and the gun violence and how that comes, all.
So what do you feel about the sanctuary cities that are protecting? They're not allowing the agents to come in and deport the illegal immigrants. I mean, what do you feel about that?
Then they need to get their funding cut. They need to get their the same funding that allowed them to become a sanctuary city in the first place. That's an hypocrisy, just to begin with.
We have a sanctuary city in Tennessee, Nashville.
But you want to run against a political headwind because most of them sanctuary cities are backed by church, especially the Catholic Church. Now, Baptists really don't have with the immigrants, but Catholics.
Now, isn't that a discussion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the Catholic thing. I mean, that could be a discussion for its own whole day. That's a big underlying thing that nobody can talk about. Why can nobody talk about?
I'm going to name them out. Mormons, Catholics, and the Jews. They really embrace the undocumented workers. I mean, they really embrace them.
That's right.
They would actually invite them into their church and block the wall from the cops to come in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and it's to make us feel some kind of way, like they've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
I love all the Jewish people I've ever met, but there's a difference between a Jewish person and somebody who's a Zionist and serves, the Zion line and toes that and pushes that propaganda. That's a difference.
Yeah, and a lot of the Jewish community, they don't seem aware that a lot of the, undocumented immigrants, I mean, they are Islamic and they have very strong views against the Jewish community. That's something that's very confusing to me.
Yeah, right. We can actually be on either sides of a firing fight in one place and then allies in another.
Exactly.
This is just another issue.
Say, Mark? Sorry, I cut you off.
I'll go ahead. I didn't mean to cut him off either.
Taco,
go ahead.
Mark, did you have something to say? I think I cut you off, man. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just listening.
Oh, okay, cool. Go ahead, Tennessee. You were about to say something.
Yeah, I don't think this issue going to be addressed because, like I say, you're dealing with Catholics. Catholics is a big part of the Republican base, and once Trump started trying to get hard on them sanctuary cities, he's going to run into them and he's going to freeze right in his tracks. It's just he got too many.
Here's some food. Here's some food for thought. During his election year, Pope Francis becomes the first pope to directly interject himself in our political process and actually try to change the. And I have a brother who's recently converted to Catholicism. He's like 3 years in. Okay, that's all he needed was his, New Pope. Okay, but let's just talk about that Pope for just a second. The Catholics kicked General Loyola and all of the Jesuits completely out of the church. Almost every country around the globe kicked them out because of their ways, because of what they do, because how they embed themselves in government and suck the life and money and prosperity out of a place. Okay, the Catholic Church completely kicked them out. And then now, it took them 33 years to weasel their way back in. And then once they got in, it's taken them, 400 years to finally get their own pope? And it's after the first one steps down, he was blackmailed to step down, with all of these child porn cases or child pedophilia cases. He was blackmailed and made to step down. And then who steps in? A Jesuit. These are precedents. These are the first time in history things that can't just be washed over and then the Catholic voice still have the same validity when it speaks,
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I hate that because that's not your normal Catholic. That's not your person that goes to, and prays that they're all good people. But when you look at from the top down, I just think I have a different feeling.
Yeah.
And it's just weird that it popped up in our politics, and tried to change, and then he doesn't wear the red cape either that all other popes have worn before him. That makes him the temporal lord, I guess. He's only, like a spiritual flock leader supposedly now. But we all know that the state of Rome, that is the Roman Empire still. That's its last strongholds on the world, and it's a big one.
All right, I got a little question regarding Trump. Should he stick to this Obamacare repeal, or should he just move on and address other issues? Because I think this thing is starting to drag him down.
Well, he's got to address it, but he can't rewrite the whole thing himself. If he could, I guarantee you he would be able to get universal health care. The problem is he's got to get all the other votes for it, and, that's the problem. He has to try to appease both the Democratic and Republican Party. Some of the own Republicans on his side don't even agree with him. It's very, very hard
He's
to
also going to
rewrite.
be judged. He's also going to be judged with more scrutiny than any other leader we've ever had. So he has to produce results in a much quicker time frame than any other leader we've ever had because, it'll be the end for him if he doesn't. So, everything he does has to have a pretty quick path to fruition. And that's going to take appeasement. Can he be that state? Can he really make these deals that that we elected him for? So far he's doing pretty awesome. But here's going to be his roadblock. It's going to be the Republicans. They're going to be the problem.
I think so.
If they don't,
at some point they're going to try to frag him. I promise you. Mark my words. We can go back to this podcast. I promise you, they're going to frag him at some point, or attempt to.
I agree. And I'm just wondering why the Republicans on his side are not even supporting him right now. What is the agenda behind that?
The problem is that they never supported him to begin with, and they only save their own seat.
Yep.
Yep, exactly.
They never actually went along. They just saw that we did. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people, they didn't think he was going to win. They didn't think the man was going to win.
Never.
Nobody
not even on election day.
No.
It was the biggest. It's like the best to me. It's the closest sign that I've had to divine intervention in a long time.
Yes.
Somebody.
That makes me mad because if Trump knows all these people didn't have his back and didn't think he was going to win, why does he still surround himself by them? They ain't doing nothing but dragging him down.
He has to have them though. You had to have them. You had to have Reince Priebus. You had to have them. You got to keep them. What is the old adage? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. That's exactly what's going on.
But man, they got their knives out. As soon as he falls, they're gonna stab him in the back. I'm telling you. As soon as he falls.
Yeah. But come on, doesn't he know that? Doesn't he know that? right? Let's
and a
hope
lot of
that
them, they have stuff to hide. They don't want that to be known either. A lot of them are seeing that all the truths are going to come out. I mean, that
what
might
kind
not
of
be
secret box does Donald Trump have on everybody? I mean, let's hope it's large and comprehensive.
Yeah, well, if they can find out something on pretty much anybody, so I don't see why they would have a hard time finding out if everything he's saying is the truth.
Okay.
And while he might
now they talk about
go ahead.
the surveillance on Trump Tower and everything. Okay, now let's just really think about that. Do you not think that every billionaire? Do y'all think that every billionaire should be under wiretaps that has money like Donald Trump? What do y'all think?
No.
Okay, they have fundamental rights that keep that from happening. That's what y'all think. As long as you're not breaking the law, doing anything, colluding with anybody. Okay, but just the fact that they have that much money, and if they wanted to, they could start a war with it tomorrow. That doesn't mean that they deserve, a wiretap.
I
Y'all
don't
say
think
no.
so. You can
and
Google
adamantly
a certain word.
believe that because you either believe in that or you don't. And some people do feel the other way. I think some people feel like, okay, well, I mean, if you got that much money, maybe you deserve to be watched. I don't know. But
those same
I
people
know
don't
that
wanna
it's
be
wrong
watched
because I don't
themselves.
think he was doing anything wrong. And if that's what we're wasting our money and intelligence on, is to wiretap and follow every single billionaire when they may or may not have, because that's basically what you're saying. If that's your justification for doing it, it's not because is it because he was running for president, or did you just have wiretaps on him anyway? And that's what I think. I think they were just wiretaps on him anyway.
I seen a statement that he said, and what they was trying to say was Russians was in his hotel conducting business. That they was
okay,
that
they
they
have
was
to
wanting
say
to
that
listen
to get the vice of court. Okay. Let's be clear on this. You have to say Russian collusion because the FISA court is for foreigners only. It's not for people of the United States. You have to go through the normal channels and get a normal judge here to sign off on it.
Yeah,
okay?
but that was their
wiretap from Trump Tower. So the only way they can even do that, the only way they can circumnavigate, go around it, is just say Russians. And that's become such a key word, and it's totally manufactured out of thin air. We've yet to produce Russian collusion of any kind from Donald Trump's camp anyway. Now, we've found plenty with John and Tony Podesta, Hillary Clinton selling our uranium, 20%. Although that's national, she should be shot.
Yes.
Isn't that open treason? She should be shot. Her and Bill Clinton both.
Yep.
And I'm sure if there was any wrongdoing on Trump's part, we would have already known every single detail about it. If he was doing anything wrong with Russia, we'd already know about it because apparently they were watching his every move. And we haven't heard
exactly.
Yeah,
okay,
and
there
it
you
would have been
go. Okay, and then the bottom line, it comes down to they want Cold War, World War III. Okay, and that didn't matter if it was the neocons or if that was Hillary. You're going to get your war boys. If I get in there, you're going to get your defense budgets. They're going to be through the roof because we're going to be at war with Russia over the Crimea. Okay? Donald Trump was the only chance we had to not get into that. And I think it's great. And it's also the only silver lining with ISIS. It's our only chance to defeat them. Russia was the only person doing anything proactive that actually was making a meaningful difference.
Well, that
Remember
brings me
before
to
Putin pointed out the trucks, we weren't even bombing the trucks. They were making $1 billion a week.
Exactly.
Off selling oil because here's the trucks. They're going right into Turkey, selling it, and then it's going all over the place. It was crazy, and it took Vladimir Putin having a worldwide press conference and showing the world that. You know how embarrassing that is.
Absolutely.
Hey, you're not going to convince nobody in Congress to go along with Putin. I'm just sorry. It's like getting a black plague right now. It's not going to happen.
But we as American people have to say, listen,
yes.
They can keep the Ukraine. That's theirs. They speak Russian there. That's great.
Yeah, I don't care for it. I always said that too. I said I don't really care for it. I don't know.
And do you not realize that the government that's been set up in Kiev, they are Nazis? I mean, they call themselves pinstripe Nazis. I mean, they are Nazis. That is the same ideology. So,
Ukraine, they want to be part of Russia. Most people don't know that, but especially the
that's
area
right.
that
they enjoyed way better. They enjoyed a way better life.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Mark. Most of them do, except for the ones that are directly under the gunman now of the state in Kiev. It's really the opposite of how it looks in the news. Like the Russians are the invaders. It's really the opposite.
Yes.
Yep.
I might not, believe in any star, but I believe in Steven Seagal. And if he goes over there and is friends with Putin, then it must be the right thing, right? Like, Steven Seagal, really? He's a bad guy? You can't convince me.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, the dude likes barbecue and plays on Bill Street and is what he's saying. I mean, he can't be a bad guy.
Yeah, can't be. Can't be if he likes barbecue.
Yeah, there you go. He just can't be all that bad. So, I mean, we have.
If he likes Memphis barbecue, that's.
Yeah, that's right. We've been getting, but I mean, just do you realize how close Russia? They were prepared for World War III if she won. Does everybody not realize how their missile batteries were in place? They had 200,000 troops deployed all over the country to different. I mean, it was serious. Like not just like Trump had to win that election.
Yeah.
I think we had gotten a lot further along than anybody realizes.
Yeah, I do too. So, Taco, what do you feel about terrorism right now? Do you feel like since they've been laxed on the borders and they haven't had, that much security and everything, do you think that's affected why there's so many terrorist attacks everywhere? Or do you feel like that has nothing to do with
as far as the London attacks?
we didn't even.
I don't know. It seems like this is horrible to say, but I'm just speaking my mind here and just being uber truthful, so I might as well, speak on it. That if there is not a terrorist attack every so often, then these defense budgets will get cut. So whether there's a terrorist attack or not, there's going to be a terrorist attack as long as there's a war on terrorism.
Hey, that's some stuff you don't say out loud. That is some stuff you don't say out loud.
When do we as Americans get tired of that, though? When do we say enough of that? That you call a spade, and that's what the hell I'm seeing, and 9/11 is some bullshit. When do you say that? I mean,
Johnson,
exactly.
Johnson extended the Vietnam War just to get some money out of the defense thing. So
the Gulf of Tonkin. The Gulf of Tonkin. Let me tell you, my dad fought in Vietnam. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Vietnam War. I'd say he met my mom in an Army base there. She got to come to America. But still, the whole thing, it was a proxy. That was their setup. That's how they learned to have a proxy war, was in Vietnam. And we've been fighting them ever since around the globe. Ever since Vietnam. Ever since they realized that you could have a sustained conflict go for 10 years. Massive sacrifice of life and money and territory. And then at the end of it all, nothing really changed. And you can just move it somewhere else and just keep it all going. That's what I feel like's happened. And in the Middle East, it was all work up to the Middle East where, it could just go on forever. It could.
I agree.
I mean, literally.
I agree with you on the profit motive of the thing, but also in London, in that area, they have a problem with, I forgot the little word, immersion. That immigrant population over there, it didn't emerge right. They still live.
No, they haven't assimilated at all.
Yeah,
they haven't assimilated at all. They call it Londonistan there. There's whole neighborhoods you cannot go in.
Yes.
That neighborhood pretty much exists under its own Sharia law.
Yes.
That's exactly right. But the biggest problem, I think, is
and there's
you're going to see more beheadings. You're going to see people more doing crazy stuff because their citizenry is not armed.
Yes.
Yes. You pull that stuff here and everybody will get armed. It'll be like the Wild West.
We're running out of time, but we have to cover Sharia law next week because that is a huge issue for me. And there's many, many people here that want Sharia law to be okay here. And I don't think a lot of people really understand what it all consists of and actually what it means.
In Dearborn, Michigan, it's already here in America. It's already.
Hey, don't y'all know it's in Tennessee down in Chattanooga?
Mm-hmm. There's a community there.
Yeah, they open up a mosque
there's
somewhere
lots
down
of
there.
different communities. There's lots of different. They're
wow.
teaching the children how to pray to Allah and things like that. And I think first we need to educate ourselves of the entire meaning. And if you're fighting for women's rights, you really need to dig down and look into what Sharia law consists of, because you're not going to increase your.
I would also. You're so right, Betsy. Okay, let me tell you. I think we should talk about the differences when we say Islam. That's just a broad stroke, but there's a huge difference between the Shiite and a Sunni Muslim. I mean, they hate each other more than we could ever hate or side with one or the other. You understand? I mean, that's two totally different factions. The Sunni faction being in Saudi Arabia,
fighting for 1,000 years.
That's exactly right. And then the Shiites in Iran. I mean, it's exactly, since the dawn of Islam, since Muhammad died and Ali became the ruler, and then the rest of them said, no, we don't want him to be the ruler. That's been, the schism's been since there.
This is my question. If you know these people been fighting since biblical times, why do you think you could come up with a solution? And every American president gets in office and he tries to come up with a peace in the Middle East. I'm like, they've been fighting for so long. Why do you do that?
Okay, here's my Rosetta Stone for this question. You want to know why we're there? It's not oil. It's because if you read Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike, Confederate general, who was not that great a general or a soldier, but he went on to start the 33rd rite of Freemasonry in the United States. He's basically the king of it here. He set it up from Arkansas, of all places. He calls for the Third World War to be in the Middle East. And I'm sorry, I think that wields a lot more influence than anybody on a normal, in public is ever going to admit or realize or talk about it. But I'm not scared to talk about it. And that's why we're in the Middle East, if you want my opinion.
But you're informed, and that's why you're not scared to talk about it, because you've actually looked into the issues and researched it yourself.
That's right. I've read the book. It's crazy. But, I mean, the guy was also crazy bright, too. Just misused, I guess.
Exactly. Y'all, I appreciate y'all being with us tonight. Mark, I really appreciate you. I don't know if you got a chance to talk with all of us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mark. You know me. I'm always,
no, that's fine.
Get me started.
You've got a lot of talking to people on.
Yeah. I didn't really know what to expect. Tara told me about this, and I didn't really even understand what she was talking about until I called. So, but this has been great.
Now we get it. Yeah, it is cool. So, hey, anytime you guys that y'all need, just let me know. I'll be ready, and I enjoyed it. Mark, it's good to talk to you, man. Hopefully, you get out to Talk on the Mofo show sometime. We'll drink a beer or something. All right.
Hey, seriously, thank y'all, because I want people from a wide range, a whole different perspectives, to give their opinion. People
of course.
From all
no,
different
this could really grow. Yeah. This should really grow into something great. I'll give you all the support I can. I'll share it, whatever I need to do. Just let me know.
Awesome.
Right.
We appreciate y'all both.
Yeah,
make sure you call in and interact with us next week and from now on too, and give your views and opinions of what's going on.
We'd love to. Love to.
All right.
All right. Y'all have a good night. I'm gonna hop off here.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank y'all.